story this week. Prince Andrew has been sacked, sort of, or been sacked from using his weird names and titles that he likes to use. The UK is reeling from the truly shocking news that Prince Andrew, our God-bestowed, legally semi-divine ceremonial backup overlord and 8th Reserve stand-in emergency monarch, has been told in no uncertain terms that he will simply have to use some new headed notepaper because he's agreed to stop calling himself some of the silly names he's previously been allowed to call himself. The man who's long put the horrific into honorific title has agreed to give up his use of the Duke of York title and various other tags that he uses when he does his graffiti. I forget what they all are. His only remaining title will be that of Prince, subject to a legal challenge from the estate of Prince, the late American rock legend. Tom, what if? Obviously Australia is, clinging to the monarchy by the umbilical cord of medieval feudalism that binds our two nations together. How's the news been taken where you are?
Well, we're devastated. We think it's a pretty brutal punishment. Andrew has to give up his title, as you say, Duke of York, his honours as a Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order, the Royal Knight Companion of the Most Noble Order of the Garter, Grand Dragon of the Evildoers, Arch Nonce of the Freemasons, President of the Stonecutters. He's got to give up his Sith Lordship, his life membership to the League of Shadows, his complimentary OnlyFans subscription, and his platinum status on the Lolita Express. It's pretty intense. I've told he will continue to act as brand ambassador for Pizza Express, which is really great news. And I believe he's still going to be allowed to keep using the title of Randy Andy. I think everyone was like, fair enough, mate. You have earned that one, so you can keep it.
And I understand that the Reform Party are willing to welcome him into their fold. Yeah, he was given on his wedding day the titles of the Earl of Inverness and Baron Killyleagh. Killyleagh. I think they should let him keep Baron Killyleagh because it sounds ridiculous.
Well,
just like instead of Prince Andrew, hi, I'm Andrew Killyleagh. And what happened was I killed my life with one single lay.
Yep.
Which I didn't do, but I did pay $12 million for. But I didn't do it. But I paid $12 million, but I didn't do it.
That's how much I didn't do it. I paid $12 million to
not do it.
The only remaining title he'll be able to use is Prince, which, according to reports, he cannot be removed because he was born the son of a queen, despite the fact that it clearly could be removed, despite him being born the son of a queen, if anyone could be asked to do it. But that would, of course, entail the UK at least temporarily suspending the medieval feudalism cosplay addiction that is sort of the closest thing we've got to a constitution. He said in his statement, "I've decided, as I always have, to put my duty to my family and country first." Always is doing some heavy lifting there, and not very successfully. It's just been squashed like a cartoon coyote under a 1,000-ton lead weight. And he's not actually giving up the titles currently. He's just not going to use them, like me with my Lord High Priest Almighty of the True Groove title, which I don't like to show off with. The titles, we sort of touched on Duke of York. That used to entitle Andrew to access a standing army of 10,000 men, but limited them to fairly simple hill walking exercises. The Earl of Inverness, which allowed him to eat dinosaurs fished out of his local loch, cooked or otherwise. The Royal Knight Companion of the Order of the Garter that you mentioned, that's something to do with the right to use S&M kit in the Tower of London on non-public execution days. That goes back a bit. Also, he was, in 2017, apparently, he was awarded the Order of Isabella the Catholic, although that might have been something that he himself requested from an escort agency, but we're still waiting for confirmation of that. And the Freedom of the City of London, which he got in 2012 for reasons unknown, which entitles him to drive sheep over Tower Bridge whenever he wants, to eat swans direct from lakes, to prance naked around the crypt in Westminster Abbey, twerking whatever tombs he wants to twerk, and to demand carnal enflobrances with either a lead performer in any West End musical or any mammal or reptile from London Zoo that is in an awake or semi-awake state.
I also liked in the statement, Andrew said, "In discussion with the King and my immediate and wider family, we have concluded the continued accusations about me distract from the work of His Majesty and the royal family." And I think that's bang on. So if you've ever found yourself thinking that the royal family doesn't do any work, you're wrong. Okay, you've been tricked by Andrew. They actually do heaps of work all the time. You just don't hear about it just because one of them happens to be buddies with a sexual vampire. That's the only reason why. Okay.
And a Chinese spy.
And also Cheddar's fat man.
Don't forget that.
Obviously, the history of sex vampires in the British royal family goes back to I think something like Ethelred the Unready back in the day. But I mean, it's a long way back. He will no longer be Colonel-in-Chief of the Royal Highland Fusiliers of Canada. I think that he might have already stepped down from that. But I mean, it's a real blow for the Royal Highland Fusiliers of Canada, particularly with the war with America looming at some point in the next month or century, that they're going to have to find a new Colonel-in-Chief. Former Spurs and Nottingham Forest boss Ange Postecoglou has been rumoured as a potential new Colonel-in-Chief of the Royal Highland Fusiliers of Canada. He's also no longer be Colonel-in-Chief of the Royal New Zealand Army Logistic Regiment, although you would hope in this day and age that could be automated, as indeed could all members of the royal family, to be honest. I mean, he's basically...
Do you need... I'm sorry, how much logistics does an army on an island need? I mean, they're really far out there. Does it just swap them between the North and the South Island in New Zealand? Like, what does the army... I would understand if New Zealand had a massive navy. That would make a lot of sense to me. But an army, I'd be like, yay you for your little land army.
I think the main roles of the New Zealand Army, and we will have to check with our New Zealand listeners and maybe ask James Nakise, our New Zealand correspondent, whether the prime role of the New Zealand Army is merely to control unusually enthusiastic rugby matches. I think that's probably all they have to do on a kind of day-to-day basis.
I mean, sign me up for that service. That sounds delightful.
Andrew has been cut loose from the monarchy, according to one report, and this does raise concerns about the increased policing costs and logistical public safety implications of having Prince Andrew on the loose around the UK, wearing civilian clothing and not having his entry into a building or room marked with someone tootling some shit on a trumpet. So, I mean, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. It's increased risk of Prince Andrew
He's more dangerous than ever.
The 65-year-old prince, who I think it has to be said is pretty unlucky to have been born just a few hundred years too late to get away with absolutely anything, could now be forced to settle down and get a regular 9 to 5, possibly in the stuffed toy department of a prominent luxury store. There was various reports over recent years that he is obsessed with stuffed toys. He has a loving, according to a documentary and other reports, he has quotes, lovingly curated collection of either 50 or 60 or exactly 72 stuffed toys. And if his servants had not arranged them in the correct order, he would lose his shit and become verbally abusive. Now, once again, I guess if you've grown up in the circumstances he grew up in, maybe a temper tantrum over wrongly arranged stuffed toys makes perfect logical sense. But I'm not a flawless
did
parent.
You say he has probably exactly 72? Do you mean like the virgins in heaven that suicide bombers get? Is that a coincidence or is that a straight line? I want virgins too.
That is very much your interpretation of that number being exactly 72 according to one. I mean, there's a number of reasons it could be 72.
No, you were quite right. That is, to be fair, it might not be 72 virgins in the original text.
Yes. But
I think virgins was the important bit that he was focused on when he asked for them, wasn't it?
Yes, but I mean, how do you define what's a virgin and what's a stuffed cuddly toy? I mean,
I guarantee after he's had it for a night, it's no longer a virgin by any definition.
Oh my lord!
And look, it's not clear in terms of how he demanded his stuffed toys be arranged. And this was also not when he was a child. This is when he was an adult. We're talking about in the 1990s and subsequently. Not clear if it was by age.
I hope they were all face up and not bum up. Do you know what I mean? Like, just why can I see their faces?
It's not clear if and we will be asking Prince Andrew to come on this show and put his side of the story. Maybe not at the live show next week, to which tickets to the live stream are available. It's not clear if he arranged his toys, in what order they had to be arranged, whether it's by age, by height, alphabetically by name, by species, by cuddliness, or by sexual attractiveness. And to issue a legal clarification, there have until this show been no official rumours that Prince Andrew either was or wasn't sexually intimate with his own stuffed toys. But anyway, the number 72, look, why 72 when anything between 64 and 128 makes it so tricky to organise a neatly structured knockout competition to give you your stuffed toy of the day champion? Possibly 72 is because that's enough for 6 separate stuffed toy juries to rule on any legal cases that he is rehearsing for at any one time. Is that enough? 72 might not be enough. It's possible it's one for each of the Football League clubs in the 3 divisions below the Premier League, which does suggest he's got another collection of 20 really, really special stuffed toys that he keeps for really, really special occasions. But anyway, look, the point is, he's a strange man, and he's still a prince. He's still a prince. A prince is a prince. You can still feel a carrot underneath 50 mattresses or whatever princes can do.